Hi, this is the team from Easel, and today we're going to be doing a video on how to return to a previously set XY0. Um, we've done a video in the past about setting the XY0. I'll link that one below. I would recommend watching that one first and then coming to this video. To return to an XY0, your machine also needs to be able to home. That's a pretty important part of the process. So we're just going to kind of talk through setting the XY0 and then how you can return to it. And then I'll talk about a couple of caveats to that process. So the first thing I need to do is home my machine. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the jog button and then home. And it's going to move up on the Z-axis and then over on the X-axis and back on the Y-axis. And that's going to set my home position. And now that my home position has been set, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the carve menu. I'm going to move through a couple of these steps, and then I'll be asked to set my work 0. I do have a Z probe, but in this example, I'm going to use the manual setting. So I'm going to go ahead and just jog my machine over a little bit. Try to jog it in the right way. Okay, I think that's going to be just fine. So I'll select manual, and then I'll confirm my work 0 position and set as a new position. And then I'm going to start the carve really quick, and then I'm going to stop it. So I'll raise the bit, turn the spindle on, spindle is on, and carve. So when my carve stops, and this is the same thing if your carve is over, it's going to return to that set XY position. It's going to ask you how the carve went, and then you'll exit out and go again. And so in this instance, let's say I'm doing another project that's the same size and I want to start it in the same place. What I can do is home my machine, and you want to home your machine first. So you'll reset that calibration point by doing that. And then during the carve setup, instead of selecting use new position, instead you'll select use last position. And what will happen is from wherever you set your Z0, the machine will move and start the carve. And then when you stop it, it'll return to that set XY position that you had before. And we'll be able to visualize that. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Pro Carve, confirm, and then we'll act as if we've set up our Z here. So it's over our material. And we'll click manual and then use last position. And then I'm going to turn on the carve again, run it, and then you'll see it go. And then I'm going to stop it and it'll move back to that position. So I'm going to do that really quick. I've stopped it. And now it moves to my original XY0 setting from the first carve I started. And so that's how you can recall your work 0. This is a really useful thing for 3D carves or two-stage carves because you can home the machine and then return. The machine will remember and you can return to that same position, same start position. Or if you, let's say, are doing a two-stage carve where maybe a certain part of your material is easier to probe for the second pass than, say, the part you probed at the first pass, you can move your machine, probe it at that point, and then use the last XY0. It will remember that and then start the carve appropriately. It also means that you can use the work 0 button, which will home your machine, and then after it's done homing, return it to that work 0 position. And I'll show that really quick. So it'll home, and then once it's done homing, we'll see it move back to that set work 0 position. One thing to mention is if you're starting up your machine for the first time, like starting up for the first time that day, you'll want to set an XY0 before you try returning to it. That's just something that you'll see works a little bit better overall, and you'll see better accuracy for that. I wouldn't recommend trying to return to a work 0 you set from a previous carving session. And we can see that after I pressed that work 0 button, it homed and then moved to the set work 0.
To learn more, head over to easel.com.